Bear Essentials with Bear Buyers here, and as you know, this is Hunter Fury's build week. And I told you we were going to take a big, deep dive into what makes this gear set so awesome. And everybody should have at least two or three different Hunter's Fury builds. And I was going to feature some of the best, some of the most unique. And Sunday, I was able to do one. As I did a deep dive in the last 7 months of what builds have been done, I found out that nobody had ever done a Diamondback build. In fact, the Eagle Bear build that I'm going to feature tomorrow, there's nobody that's done an Eagle Bear build with Hunter's Fury, and that really surprises me. Almost every one of them, either shotgun or SMG. And there's a reason because of that. Lady Death and the backfire fit so perfectly in this run and gun in your face. Shoot them dead, gain all your armor back. So I'm going to hit one of the very popular meta builds. And this one is geared to be all output. Now, almost all the PvP builds usually feature a much more sustainable armor builds. I've heard content creators say they like that sweet spot between 1.3 million and 1.5 million, and they're still able to do a lot of damage. And then remember, your Hunter's Furies, you're melting through people, you're gaining that armor back. Now this build is just melts through people left and right, but if you do not get your kills right, you can get melted as quick because you only got that 726k armor, and that is real squishy. Unlike the Memento backpack that has, that blue on there that's giving you the 170k armor, this one is running 2 Harrison Walker, and those Harrison Walker items are right here. Let's highlight those right off the bat. And this is Intimidate, and it's going to give us an extra 5% weapon damage for this first one. But the Intimidate is no stranger. Intimidate is one of the most popular chests to run with Hunters of Fury. In fact, the Intimidate with the Matador is probably the biggest combination. Now, a lot of people run it with Bellstone Armory on one, and then run, instead of the perfect Adrenaline Rush, they'll run the Bellstone Armory Adrenaline Rush, and that's a good combination. We'll feature that later this week as some of the other breakdowns, but that's probably a very popular build now. And I did a deep dive into going all the way back to seeing what some of those were. And one of those builds back in those days that was very popular from the very beginning was a nothing but skills kind of build that was probably very influenced by Wids, and Wids covered it when he finally came back into the build as well on Hunter's Fury, and that is Bloodsuck on the backpack. Isn't as popular anymore, even though there were a number of people that did builds, but too many times it looked like those kind of builds were just copycatting some of the big boys that had cranked that video out at the beginning. But when you really play test it, the Memento is just too much to pass up unless you're running this Adrenaline Intimidate combo. Now again, how you can build this build for PvP when you're taking a lot of damage, you got to be very careful with this. This is almost like glass cannon kind of network. You're very squishy. You can die real quick because, again, you can get melted through this 7.26k armor. It's half as much as somebody like Coldboy runs on his PvP Hunter's Fury, which as he likes that sweet spot of 1.5 million according to him. And there's a lot of PvPers that seem to be in that 1.2 to 1.5 range seems to be the sweet spot for conflict Hunter Fury builds. And so this is very, very uh, dedicates everything to crit chance, crit damage, and it melts. It melts. But again, it's a very dangerous build. You have to get your kills. You have to. If you're taking a lot of damage, it has the armor damage to 11%. Headshot at 90%. The crit damage is only 119%. Crit damage is the crit chance is 53%. So a lot of these are maxed out pretty good. We would love to see that crit damage a little higher. And as you kind of look through this build, it's kind of what it does. Now we could have crit damage here instead of headshot damage on the mask, so we can improve there, and then some of the mods we could get improved a little bit. Crit chance we need to get up to 60%, and here we could have the headshot damage and crit, the 6% crit chance instead of the armor regen as well. So that could definitely need to be fixed or find a better Intimidate. So we could get this up to 60%, and that's 24% more crit damage we could have on there instead of the 90% headshot damage. It's not so bad to gear a little bit into the headshot, but again, for you diehards that love seeing pure crit chance and crit damage, you can build this a little bit different yourself. It is the combination of this gun right here and you doing the work that really, really makes a difference. Lady Death is really awesome. Now, running the specialist, you can run, a lot of people on these Hunter Fury builds will run your flamethrower specialist, and because they get some of the bonuses off that, but it's the armor on kill from the gunner specialist, and it's that speed that we can meld them really helps. I like using the Stinger Hive because as they're getting stung, they kind of hesitate, and that gives you that moment where you could just kind of meld them. Even the yellows, it gives you that chance to hit them, and if you do happen to be caught in the middle of reload, you can use your shield as a backup. So that's something you can consider. Again, if you get it up there where you can survive a lot, sometimes some people might not go with the shield. They may go with the healer drone or something like that. And it's how your playing style works. You know what works for you, and you can mold these builds to where you do. So I just wanted to show you kind of the extremes and meta. But coming on later this week, I have a big deep dive into all the Hunter Fury builds, and there are literally hundreds of content creators that have done their own Hunter's Fury build. In fact, I could probably go down through you and tell you which content creators that have made videos in the last 7 months that haven't done a Hunter's Fury build. That list will probably be shorter and easier to do than people that have. But we are going to give shout outs to each and every one of those, and some of them have been very unique. Some of the people have ran some very unique builds. Yeah, there's there's the Unstoppable Force builds that do really great. So if you do miss something, you got that recovery from gaining back armor, and especially running them with Obliterate. You got the Eclipse Ridgeway Pride builds. You have the Obliterate Adrenaline Rush builds. Even seen some Ridgeway Pride with Wicked. I seen one that had like Fox's Prayers. But we are going to go through there. We are going to give a big shout out to each and every person that we found out from the first moment that we heard about Hunter's Fury, and the first person that it shows chronologically that gave us the first glimpse into Hunter's Fury. A big shout out to Epic Slayers. Yes, he broke the news about 10 minutes before Rogue Gold. The first person to actually do the Intimidate Adrenaline Rush build used the Intimidate on a Sokolov, and they used the regular Adrenaline Rush on Seska, and they actually used a vector, just a regular vector with fast hands. They were the first Intimidate Adrenaline Rush build, and that was Kudomont. That's today's build feature. Bear Essentials. I am Bear Byers. I hope you have a blessed day. Hope you enjoyed the history of kind of the Hunter's Fury and going over this build one more time. I hope you have a great night, and I hope the RNG is giving you everything you need. Until next time, pulls up, and I will see you in the ground.